So it's the morning after the night before as Forest went to the bridge and came away with a point. Have you guys managed to catch your breath? Welcome to my thoughts on the game. Good morning, good evening, or good night. I hope you guys are doing well. And welcome to my thoughts on Chelsea 1, Forest 1. And I've got a lot to say about the Chelsea fans today. Who do you lot think you are? If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to Forest Fan TV. And don't forget, you've only got until tonight to get this sign framed LED Matt Sells shirt. Man of the match, Matt Sells, may I add. 7:30 tonight is as long as you've got. So make sure you either scan this QR code here or click on the link that's pinned in the comments down below. You got an Insta prize of Nuno as well, and the away kit, so go check that out. The tickets always go fast on the last day. Okay, let's get into this because I got quite a few things I want to talk about. I'm going to start with the Chelsea fans. Do we still call them Chelsea? Yeah, I guess we do. Now, I am sick of them and the Liverpool fan base not understanding what the phrase low block means. Low block is literally parking the bus inside your own box and just playing out for a 0-0, something like that. We didn't do that against Liverpool. We didn't do that against Chelsea yesterday. And those fans are stupid. Apart from Charlie, even though he called us low block, I'll call you out on it, Charlie. It was not low block, mate. We had more shots on target than you. Our average player positions were near the halfway line. An average player position of parking the bus would literally be in the box, bus, whatever. You get what I'm saying. So this narrative that these Cartel 6 fan teams have is that, oh, we only lose or draw to teams when they park the bus. Well, firstly, if that's true, then that's on you guys to figure out how to break it down. And secondly, why do you lot think you are so entitled that you can dictate how teams come and play against you? Is there some kind of rule book that says, now you're playing a Cartel 6, you must abide by this style of play. You must play to our strengths so that we can expose your weaknesses. Get a grip of yourselves, Chelsea fans. Now, in general, I'll say that they were talking about they could have lost the game as well, which is exactly my thought process. If Neco Williams had just whipped it near post, I felt he got too excited when he got into the box. That could have been, curtains. Jota Silva's beautiful header forced a great save from that crappy keeper Sanchez. And in general, it was a cracking second half. I really did enjoy it. I was on the edge of my seat. I know you guys were as well. Especially that sequence from Neco Williams down to Nkunku in literally seconds. It's like, what was going on? So that's what my thoughts on the Chelsea lot. Now, in terms of the actual game, let's shout out Matt Sells. And don't forget, his Signs Frame shirt, LED, is there for you guys. Because it was almost like after he got that knock, he just woke up and he was just Shilton. That's what the old Forest fans will tell me. He was prime Shilton coming up there. And he was phenomenal. The save after save he made was just fantastic. And, you can have the same narrative as the Chelsea fans. We could have won that game, but we could also have lost that game if it wasn't for Sells. Now, I still do feel, being objective about it, that he should have been able to get down to the shot from Madueke and save that. But he more than redeemed himself after. And this continues the Forest away streak. On what planet a year ago would you guys say I'd be living on if I told you that Forest have gone, what is it now, 6-7 games in a row undefeated away from home, and we're struggling to win at home? Like, talk about flipping the narrative on its head completely. And I'll say this, I obviously would prefer it if we win home and away. That's the dream scenario. But if you were to ask me, would you rather your away form or home form was the one that, was shaky? I'd say the home form. because away is always harder to do. It's harder to get wins away. It's harder to get draws away. The old school cliche in football is what? Win your games at home, try and draw them away. Why? Because it's always harder away from home. I know it's weird because when you technically think about it, it's 11 versus 11 on a similar size pitch with the same size football. What's the difference when you go home and away? Obviously, the crowd has an impact. The mentality is different as well. The onus is on the home team to be more so of the aggressors. So if you were to ask me what would I prefer, I would say I'd rather the home foam was more ropey. Why? Because that's the easier one to fix. If you are getting it right away from home, focusing on what you're doing at home becomes a bit easier to do. Look how we struggled under the old regime away from home. We just had no idea how to win a match at all. But at home, we were okay. And why do I feel this? Because I think what Forest have done is sussed out away from home. You've got to play in this compact formation. You've got to be quick on the transition, which we probably are one of the quickest. And now what we're going to have to see is the evolution in the home form to a team that becomes on the front foot. As I said, the expectation is usually, unless you're playing like an Arsenal, Man City, that you will be the aggressor at home. And this is the next step for Forest. And this is why it somewhat excites me that Forest are going to try and take this next step. Nuno's talked about addressing the home form as well, obviously, clearly on his radar. And that's going to get put on. And I can see it. I can see it working. We got Crystal Palace next after this stupid international break. And I fully expect Nuno to try and be the aggressor in this game. Try and, get the crowd up and lifted and try and get those goals and Forest get 3 points. And I've got to say, my mood has completely changed. I'm always honest with you guys. After that Fulham game, to me, it felt like the balloon had popped a bit. It felt like, oh God, here we go. I was expecting it. I felt the Fulham game, we were going to struggle. They're a good team with a great manager. And I was worried it was going to roll over into this Chelsea game and that we were going to slowly start slipping back down the table. And this is why I'm just so happy. I know, look, normally if you take a lead in a game and you lose 2 points, you feel like it's a loss more so than anything else. But for some strange reason, this one feels like a win to me. I don't know why. Maybe because we went down to 10 men. We'll talk about that in a second. And also, we've got Grumpy Old Reds tonight, for those of you wondering, kicking off at about 8 p.m. Make sure you tune in. We'll hear what the boys have to say on that as well. But it didn't feel like a loss. It almost felt like a win. And I don't really think it's because of the red card. I just feel that it was one of those ones that I didn't want us to lose. Before the game, I would have taken a point. Obviously, after Chris Wood scored, I wanted all 3 points. But when you reflect on it, a point is fantastic. It just keeps that tally turning over. It really does. And what was the route to our success outside of Cells yesterday? It's M&M. Milenkovic and Murillo, I think, are probably in the top 2 of best centre-back pairings in England, in the Premier League. Some of you may argue that Gabriel and Saliba are better than them. I'd argue back still, but try and tell me a better centre-back pairing you have seen this season in the league than those two. They just complement each other so beautifully. They really do. And that's the spine. That's the foundation you want to build on. And let's not forget, the rest of our spine isn't there. You talk about down the middle of the park. You got Sangare out. You got Danilo out. Potentially Morgan Gibbs-White is going to be out for a good few weeks now, based on some reports I've heard. And that spine is going to be missing. But the foundation is there with those two. And this gives Nuno a platform to create the rest of the team around. And this is what Nuno's renowned for. Get it right defensively. Coach them correctly defensively, get the tactics, the shape right, and then move it further and further up the field. This is how he finished 7th with Wolves in back-to-back seasons. And there is the formula and foundation there for it to happen at Forest. We just got to sort the home form out, and we've got to start scoring goals. Look, if I'm going to be on the negative side, putting Chelsea aside, reflecting across the game so far up to this international break, we are lacking a bit in goals. We're creating a lot of chances, but we're not converting them. And this probably does go back to getting a striker in the summer. A lot of us said it, will we rue that striker thing? Now, you could argue no, because Chris Wood's now got 4 in the Premier League. I think he's joined like 6th top goal scorer in the Premier League. Chris Wood himself has only scored 1 goal less than the entire Manchester United team combined. So Chris Wood is doing a cracking job in terms of finishing, but can we trust him to stay fit? What's the story with Taiwo? I don't know, but all I do know is I cannot wait for the Palace game now. Had we lost to Chelsea, I'd have been like, oh man, here we go with the Forest stuff as normal. But now I'm just looking forward to this Palace game. I think this will give us a real indication of where we are this season. Now let's quickly touch on this red card from James Ward-Prowse. I think it was stupidity. I know a few of you guys have been saying it was almost like a necessary evil for him to do it. I do agree that he had to do it because Sorry Miss Jackson was in behind him. But the point here is, like, what was he doing beforehand? To not be able to take his eye off the football, not be able to control it and let it go under his foot. That's under 7 stuff. It really is. And I am starting to question, is he the right fit, or is he just being shoehorned in there just because of his dead ball ability? But I don't know. But that's really the only negative I would take away from that game. The rest of it for me, all positive. Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White getting injured is a huge negative. But everything else, man, is just feeling cohesive at the moment is the word I would use. So get your thoughts in on the game now that you slept on it. Now it's the day after, you know, the morning after, the night before, etc. How are you feeling about Forest season? Do you see us kicking on? Because Nuno is extremely happy. I saw a report saying that is the longest interview they've ever got out of him on Sky Sports. And Nuno's interviews are never long. So you can tell Nuno's extremely happy about the point, and he can go into the international break with a good vibe. It almost feels like this goddamn international break is coming at yet again the wrong time for Forest. And there's still another one in November. Get your thoughts in down below. Are you happy as I am about where Forest are right now? Or do you look back and think, if we'd held out against Bournemouth, if Wolves hadn't scored a worldie and we'd given them their only point of this season, Forest would be in the top 4. But that's a good feeling to have as well. We'll see you tonight on Grumpy Old Reds. Please make sure you've hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. You got till 7:30 to get a signed framed LED Matt Sells shirt. So go click on that link or scan this QR code. We'll see you tonight. Come on, you Reds.